And you know who's not a lumberjack is Tim Walz.
Definitely not.
No.
He wears camo, but
yeah, he wears camo, and I
have a feeling he can't handle a chainsaw.
I've even seen him
handle a gun.
in a lumberjack shirt, but he doesn't quite fit the bill. And it's gotten so bad with the roiling scandals going on in Minnesota that he has either turned a blind eye to, or for some reason has turned a blind eye to. That even some of his allies are saying that his political career is over. Former Minnesota State Senator and political analyst in Minnesota. This is, who is this? Ember Reichgott Jung, saying he is clearly vulnerable and, in my view, is riskier than any Democratic candidate that might run. Anonymous longtime ally of Walz's in Minnesota, a different person, said, it's clearly a real vulnerability. Even suburban dads would bring it up to me over the summer.
Which is interesting because this news of this fraud has been circling around Minnesota for a while, but it's really broken open, and we're seeing the scale of it. It's now the biggest fraud case in America. Over $1 billion. There's probably more to come, more things to come out of this as well. Was it incompetence? Was there some skimming of money off the top, you know, and sort of putting a blind eye to it? We don't know. But the investigation is going to continue. The DOJ has promised to get to the bottom of this. But, Griff, you know everyone's trying to wash their hands of all of this. They're going to throw the Democrats in Minnesota are throwing Tim Walz under the bus and saying that's on him. We don't know how far this goes.
Well, the question is whether or not Walz's administration was at best incompetent or at worst complicit in allowing this unprecedented fraud going on. Meanwhile, this triggered the Trump administration to go into Minnesota to go after particularly Somali illegal aliens that are protected in the sanctuary state of Minnesota, the sanctuary city of Minneapolis. Here, let me show you some of the criminals. The Somali illegal aliens have been rounded up just in the past week or so in Minnesota. And these are the people, come with me, that Governor Walz wants to defend, praising the Somali citizens. Well, let's look at them. Mohammed Syed, convictions include domestic violence, trespassing, assault on a peace officer, damaging property, and the list goes on. But there's a whole handful of them. You've got Sharif Abdi, a gang member. Convictions include fraud, vehicle theft, multiple probation violations. Osman Shadani, convicted of criminal sexual conduct with a minor aged 13 to 15. That's a child. Muhammad Ali, convictions include domestic assault, fraud, robbery, and larceny. Finally, Muhammad Omar, charged with 2 counts of domestic violence. These are not the best of the best. They are, as the Trump administration says, the worst of the worst, and yet Governor Tim Walz is defending them. Meanwhile, the deputy ICE director, Madison Sheehan, on this program yesterday says they're going to continue to go after these criminals. Watch.
We have an operation going on in Minnesota right now to specifically go after the Somalis who have broken laws in this country, who have come to this country illegally, and continue to wreak havoc on the American people. Our officers are out every day arresting gang members, murderers, and rapists, and truly the list goes on. And people like Governor Walz have let this guy run free in his state for years, and it's time that we put a stop to it. Democrats continue to choose to protect the people that are locked up in our facilities, people that have broken the laws by coming into this country and then perpetuated laws against the American people after that. Secretary Noem, President Trump have taken the handcuffs off our officers so we can put them on the criminals, but we enforce the laws that are on the books. We do not pick winners and losers. And the Democrats continue to think that the real winners are inside the fences at our ICE facilities, and that's not true. It's the American people that have been victimized by alien crime for years.
And, you know, it's Democrats who insist that these government programs that are being defrauded in Minnesota right now, that this is the lifeblood, this is the answer to everybody's problems. And then they allow this to go on, and you wind up with, this is going to actually hurt, genuinely hurt people who Democrats claim to care about.
It's such a great point, because the Democrat answer to any problem is just more money, right? So there was probably, a lot of incompetence, but also it's sort of in line with their philosophy. We must be helping people. $1 billion has been sent on them. Meanwhile, this money has been spent overseas in all kinds of, schemes, buying real estate. It's gone into terrorist hands. And we had Jack Brewer on earlier, somebody who's from Minnesota, knows it, or played in Minnesota when he was in the NFL, spent a lot of time there, has family that lives in Minnesota. He's talked about the poverty rate of, this is a lot of African Americans who live in Minneapolis, the poverty rate, the education, how bad it is, and all of this money getting wasted when it could have gone to really help people. And it's absolutely shameful. And we really need to talk about, and again, this is a hot button issue, assimilation. Are there certain immigrants that are more easily assimilated because their culture and their love of this country shines through? Are there others who just see this as, a place to scam money and send it back to their home country? We have to have this conversation about assimilation and who actually wants to come to this country and make it better versus these guys that you had up on the board.
If you're coming to the country to get welfare or to commit fraud, then you're not what we're looking for.
Yeah.
You're here. We are the dumping place for bad people from other places. That's not the way it's supposed to work. If you want to come here because you love America and you want to contribute to America and contribute to the American dream, under our system, we believe that helps everyone. That's what is so magical about the American dream.
And you can look no further than who they have chosen to represent them, somebody who is a very ungrateful refugee to our country, Ilhan Omar, probably the most ungrateful.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.